All right. Well, good afternoon, and thank you all for being here today. I'm Couture Green, Public Information Coordinator for the Savannah Police Department. Today, Savannah Police, in partnership with CrimeStoppers, is going to announce a new initiative that's going to target gun violence here in the city of Savannah. But first, I want to introduce some distinguished guests that we have here with us today. We have Mayor Van R. Johnson II. We have Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Estella Shabazz here. We have Alderwoman Linda Wilder Bryan and Alderman Nick Palumbo here today. Thank you all for being here. We also have Chief of Police Roy Minter, Assistant Chief Lenny Gunther, Assistant Chief Stephanie Price, Major Devon Adams, and we also have Captains Carrie Hill, Captains George Gundage, and Captain Michelle Halford here with us today. Thank you all for being here from command staff. And then finally, we have CrimeStoppers Director Larry Branson and the Assistant Executive Director of CrimeStoppers, Brittany Heron, here with us. First, you will hear words from Chief of Police Roy Minter, who will start off the importance of this campaign.
Thank you, Couture, and good afternoon. Cooperation and information are two vital components to our relationship-based policing model. I want to start by thanking and applauding members of our community who have and continue to come forward with vital information that has assisted us with identifying narcotics-related activity in our neighborhood, but also information that led to gang indictments and information that has also assisted us with solving homicide cases. I recently met with Larry Branson and Brittany Heron to discuss an educational and financial incentive program to assist with gun crimes in our community. So I'll turn the podium over right now to Mr. Branson and let him talk about this program. He'll be followed by Mayor Van Johnson. Larry?
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, everyone, for being here. CrimeStoppers, under Assistant Director Brittany Heron, has created a marketing campaign with the support of the SPD staff to encourage the members of our community to report gun crimes. This campaign was born out of SPD's recognition of heightened gun violence here in our city and the department's awareness of individuals who are not able to speak to authorities for fear of their personal safety. And that's just not right. This campaign will provide information about CrimeStoppers and will use social media graphics as well as strategic branded items that we will give out at community meetings. To make it clear, CrimeStoppers will be anywhere at any time to talk about how CrimeStoppers works, how effective it is, and what we can do as a community to make a difference, to clean our neighborhoods up. The information here is designed specifically to let people know that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, anyone can call CrimeStoppers. They can submit a tip online, and that information is absolutely confidential. We don't have caller ID. We don't see their computer identity. Your information is scrubbed at the server, so everything is absolutely confidential. You'll only be known as an assigned number. And $2,500 cash, up to $2,500 cash may be paid for information regarding these tips. CrimeStoppers is committed with the Savannah Police Department in this campaign in hopes that individuals will take back our community, that we will be empowered to make a difference in our community. If you see something, say something. If you know something, say something. Your identity is always confidential. The year is 2020. It's time that we make a difference in Savannah. With the leadership of our mayor and council, I know that that will be possible. With the leadership under Chief Roy Minter, I know that that will be possible. 2020, and that's the number to call, 234-2020, to provide confidential information. We look forward to the teamwork with the Savannah Police Department and with you, the community, and with our partners in the media. Thank you. Mr. Mayor.
I am because we are, and we are, therefore I am. And what we will become will depend on what we do during this very critical moment in our history. Good afternoon. And thank you for joining us to kick off this new campaign, which is a partnership between the City of Savannah and CrimeStoppers. This isn't a more important goal for any local government than providing safety for all who call this community their home. And of course, bringing people to the table is the key to accomplishing our goals that includes leveraging community partnerships to better achieve common goals. This new campaign is a prime example of achieving more with partners by targeting a major issue in our community, specifically gun violence. Simply put, I'm tired of gun violence in the city of Savannah. It happens too much, it happens too regularly, and as you know, it detracts from what we call a beautiful city, and we want to do something about it. As a matter of fact, we know that you're sick and tired of it. You've complained to us about gun violence. Well, here's your opportunity to help us do something about it. If you see something, we want you to say something. And you can say it confidentially, and you can say it and also receive a financial benefit. Now, we understand you might be nervous. We understand that you might have some fear for a negative impact. But the reports received during this service will remain anonymous. And we don't care who you are, and we don't care why you step forward with this information. We just know this information is important, and we are grateful for your bravery and your honesty. If you are serious, as I am, as members of council are, as our police department is, as CrimeStoppers is, about doing something significant and worthwhile for ending gun violence in our community, this is your opportunity to do it. We want you to step forward and help us do something. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. At this time, we're going to open the floor for a few questions. Just please direct whatever question you have to the appropriate person.
This is to anyone who is willing to ask. I'm curious to know how this new program and initiative is different from the previous gun violence program or any gun deterrent program that we've had in the past.
Thank you, Robert. There has always been a concerted effort to make a difference in our community. Again, under the leadership of Chief Mentor, he came to CrimeStoppers and asked that we work together. We are more than glad to do that. Again, we will be anywhere at any time. That includes SPD officers, that includes CrimeStoppers, to talk to people in the community, to talk to schools, to talk to civic groups about what a difference we can make if we're all working together as a community. Now, heretofore, there has been a fear in the community. There's not been a real understanding, perhaps, of what CrimeStoppers is really all about and how it works. And we are, again, willing to come to anybody, anytime, and talk about just how effective this anonymity is. We just had several recent success stories with our tips, including a shooting out at Brewers in Georgetown. The second individual was captured up in Virginia. And so that was based upon a tip. CrimeStoppers definitely works. The Savannah Police Department under Chief Mentor has made some tremendous changes during his tenure. I'm very excited about this new council. It's a new day in this community. But we cannot do it without the community coming forward. We understand, as the chief said, as the mayor said, that people are concerned about their safety. They're never identified. They never have to testify. They never have to sign a piece of paper, and we provide cash money for that information.
How does the actual payment work? And when someone submits a tip, is there a tier system of how much money exactly they receive? I mean, logistically, how does it actually work?
Thank you. There is a crime severity level scale that I have to evaluate the crime upon, and then that recommendation is made to our board of directors. That recommendation is voted on, again, based on that tier. We're almost always in line. Sometimes the board will vote to provide more money. Then that individual is directed to a particular bank here in our community. They simply walk in, provide that number, that 5-digit confidential number to the teller, paid cash money, they turn around and walk out.
Is there a certain, set amount of money that you have set aside for these tips? I mean, are you drawing from a pool? I mean, where exactly does the money come from?
No, there is no set amount. It will be based upon the seriousness of the crime. We receive tips on homicides, on aggravated assaults with a gun, on weapons violations. Each one of those will carry a different weight, and we pay out a different amount for those.
Brittany, it sounds like you're kind of the architect behind this change in marketing of the idea. Can you explain what you drew from for your I guess, the influences behind this and what ultimately you're trying to achieve with it.
Right. So I think over the course of my career, I've done a lot of work with social media, and I think SPD especially, they have a wonderful social media presence. CrimeStoppers, we're reinvigorating that presence in the community, and so that was really the inspiration of we wanted to put something out that was relatable and simple, easily shareable, just to educate the public. One of the questions asked was, how does this differ? I'm from Savannah, and I feel like where this campaign differs is that we are trying to empower the community to help us. It's not just us doing the work on the back end, officers doing the work. We want to hear from the citizens. We want their input and we want their cooperation, and we're going to use social media as a major driver to make that happen.
Let me be a little bit more direct. The difference is that Crime Stoppers historically is focused on all crimes. We are calling a thing. And for us, gun violence is the thing in our community. And so we are addressing it head on. And I appreciate Crime Stoppers and the chief understanding that we just have to call it out for what it is. When you think about crime in our community, we say crime, we're really talking about gun violence. And so in addressing that head on and addressing the myths that's out there about gun violence and how Crime Stoppers work, I think it's much more effective. I think it's much more direct. And I think it's going to yield some great results. As the chief has already said, great tips have already allowed us to make great arrests, and we want that to continue.
I have a question for the chief. What percentage of violent crimes here in Savannah involve a weapon or a gun of some sort, and what percentage of those ultimately result in a fatality?
Well, we're looking at, if you look at our 2019 stats, we were looking at right at about 100 non-fatal shootings involving about 90 victims. And that is not only ridiculous, that's unacceptable as a community for us to have that many non-fatal shootings and that many victims. We have got to do something to address gun violence in our community. One of the things that we're really pushing forward is there's a saying in several communities that snitches get stitches and end up in ditches. What we're here to say now is with Crime Stoppers' new program, snitches can get riches. And we want people to know in our community that you can get paid for communicating crime information to us, and we're especially looking for individuals who are willing to communicate gun-related crime information to us.
Do we have any other questions from other agencies or outlets?
For people who are really caught in the cycle of violence, I know a lot of people who are victims of getting shot, they refuse to give any information, even if they know specifically who it is. Do you think that increasing the amount of the award, or at least making the more common knowledge that this is available, is going to help break that cycle?
Well, we certainly hope that will be the case. We realize that some people may need a little bit more incentive to come forward and provide information, and hopefully this will be that additional incentive that they may need to come forward and provide that information. But we also want to make it very clear, individuals who have been victims or suspects in violent crimes who do not want to come forward and do not want to cooperate, that also is totally unacceptable in our community. I can tell you that our investigators have no shortage of solving and doing a great job of identifying and arresting suspects in our community. But we're asking for our community to continue to partner with us through cooperation and information to assist us in bringing some of these criminals to justice maybe a little sooner.
How many useful tips would you say you get per year on average?
Well, that's a good question. Thank you. Any information that is provided to Crime Stoppers goes directly toward the investigating law enforcement agency, whether it's a tips on homicide, aggravated assault, weapons law violations. And then if you think about, I've used this analogy before, if you think about the branches on a tree, an investigator will go down every branch until they can go no further. And then when that one tip is provided that solves that crime, that becomes very useful. We get a number of tips each year that go to a number of different agencies. The most recent tip regarding the aggravated assault robbery out in Georgetown at Brewers, that was the United States Marshal Service task force who apprehended that individual there. A number of our tips go to the cold case unit here. We recently featured last year the unsolved 10-year-old homicide in East Savannah. Following our press conference on that, we received a number of tips that we forwarded to our cold case unit here at Savannah PD. And so what we see is as the public begins to understand really, truly how confidential Crime Stoppers is, that it works, the number of tips start to go up. When I go into neighborhood meetings and talk about gun violence, talk about drugs here in our community, the tips go up in that area. So we know that as we increase that exposure to the public, those tips will go up. And as we have more and more success stories, of course, no one who gets a tip from Crime Stoppers should ever tell anyone they received money for talking to Crime Stoppers. But as the story gets out, thank you to our media for that. I believe we'll have more people that will give us information.